back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys! So as you will have guessed, I am home from Helsinki. I hope you guys all enjoyed the Worldcon vlogs that I uploaded. I uploaded 7 because I was there for 7 days and I did end up vlogging quite a lot, so I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been getting great feedback and I had the best time. I also picked up a few books there, and when I came home from my holidays I had quite a few books which were sitting and waiting for me, so I decided it was time to do a haul. I've got plenty of things to go through, so let's get started. The first book I have to show you guys, which just turned up today, is one I didn't ask for, but it sounds intriguing. It is called The Feed and it's by Nick Clark Window. And this book is apparently one of the headline books for 2018 that they're really pushing. So Headline sent it to me out of the blue. I have actually seen it on a few other people's Instagram and stuff recently because I guess they sent them out this weekend, but I hadn't seen it in the flesh and I'm intrigued. I believe it's about a world where everyone's consciousness is uploaded onto the feed and basically all their emotions, their memories, their thoughts, everything is on the feed. And then one day the feed goes down and people don't really know who they are or what they are because all of their consciousness is kind of gone. So it sounds pretty interesting to me. I'm definitely intrigued about sort of debut dystopians, but it doesn't come out until January next year, so it's a fair way off. They're just pushing it very early. The next book I got is one that was sent to me by an independent author, and that is this one, which is by K.S. Villoso. It's called The Wolf and the Oran Yarrow. I don't know an awful lot about it, but I saw the cover and the author was really cool, so I was like, yes, please do send it to me. I'll just read you the back, I think. It says Book 1 of the Annals of the Bitch Queen. So it sounds like it's going to be a bit badass. Born under the crumbling towers of Oran Yarrow, Queen Taylin's life unfolded like a storybook. The shining jewel and legacy of the bloody war of the wolves that nearly tore her nation apart, her marriage to the son of her father's rival, Rael, spoke of peaceful times to come. But all storybooks must end. Rael's sudden departure before the reign began created fractures that left the land as divided as ever. Years later, Taylin receives a message from Rael, urging her to meet with him across the sea. An assassination attempt interrupts Taylin's quest for reconciliation, sending the Queen struggling in a strange and dangerous land. It sounds definitely like a really fun, sort of pretty badass book. I'm definitely excited to get to it. I probably won't get to it for a little while because I am mostly focusing on the self-published fantasy blog off and a couple of other new releases at the moment, but I will definitely report back when I do get to it, and I really like the cover and the design. I always really appreciate good design and thought and effort being put into self-published books, so very happy to have it, definitely looking forward to getting to it somewhat soon. The next book is a newish release, I think. It is the second one in a series called Princess of Blood and it's by Tom Lloyd. I already owned the first one in this series, but I've not got around to reading it just yet, but they offered me this one too and I thought I'm probably going to like it judging off what people say about Tom Lloyd and his books, so I accepted, and this one came out on the 27th of July, so a little while ago. And I believe it's kind of an epic fantasy world, but I don't know an awful lot more about it and I don't really want to read the back. It says it's book 2 of the God Fragments series. So yeah, when I went to SRFC, which is a super relaxed fantasy club, it's in London, and when I went to that, Tom Lloyd did a reading of this book and it seemed definitely like something I would enjoy. So I'm looking forward to starting the series sometime soon. The next one I have is another Gallant's book, and this one is Sherry S. Tepper, Raising the Stones. It's one of the ones they've just released in the Masterwork series, and it sounds pretty good to me. It says, when human settlers arrived on Hobbs Land, the native Owlbrits were almost extinct. But before the last one died, the humans learned a little bit of their language, ideas, and religion, and it seemed that maintaining the last Owlbrit temple with the strange statue that was its god led to peace and prosperity. But then, men from the harsh patriarchal religion of Vorsted came to Hobbs Land in pursuit of a refugee and determined to impose their own way. I really love the cover design for this. I think it's really, really beautiful. I love the colour tones and just the whole layout of it.
Definitely an exciting one. Can't wait to read some more of these. Up next, I have one of the books that was on my anticipated releases list, so I'm definitely excited for that, and this is A Skinful of Shadows by Frances Hardinge. The cover for this, the final cover, is absolutely beautiful, so I'll find a picture and put that on the screen so you can see what it will look like. This is just the proof version, and the back just says, "The pale light prized at her eyelids, and the whispers seeped and licked at her ears, and the air was thick with them." And that's all it says, but it sounds really, really cool. I've not actually read any Frances Hardinge before, but I'm definitely excited to do so, and this one does sound like my kind of thing. It comes out on 21st of September, so I'm hopeful I can get to it in September. We'll see. Next up, I have another book that I'm very, very happy to have, and that is this one, The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night, which is by Jen Campbell. This is a book that I have been anticipating for quite some time. Jen is a lovely person. She does have a YouTube channel, so I'll put a link to that down below. And I've definitely been eagerly anticipating her first sort of short story collection coming out. This does focus on magical realism and is a bit weird and whimsical. I'm definitely excited about that because those are the sorts of magical short story collections that I enjoy. And not only did I get this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous book, but it also came with lots of swag. A pack of, I think, silver Smarties, so that's pretty cool. I'm not really sure what this is. I think it is a tea called Berry Bella. Then I got this little bag which says, "But what if Jack took those magic beans and planted them in himself instead?" And inside is a little bean, which looks just like this, and inside is a little bean that I guess you could probably plant. Don't know if I'm going to or not. I need to find some soil in a pot. And then there were also loads of like little sort of graphic design things, which I loved. So there's this one, which is a little heart, and it says, "There was a time when jealous queens ate the hearts of their daughters," and it's from the story Animals. And I think on the front it just says, "Buy 4 hearts, get the 5th one free," which is quite a great little slogan. Got an advertisement for the Angel of Death. Whether or not you want to go and visit her, I'm not sure, but it's all about how you can and the things she tells you. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime death experience. It says, "There is a note from the author. Ma says you've got to know how to swim good when you live on an island. She says an island's just an atom waving at the sky. I often think of my childhood as a time when I swallowed stories. Stories that made a home, whispering and chattering to themselves, slowly multiplying. I spent a lot of my younger years in and out of hospital, born with a rare condition that meant doctors had to help craft hands for me. Stories took me out of hospital gowns and plonked me down in forests, on spaceships and in fairylands. After several operations, I delighted in holding a pen, determined to craft stories of my own. As an adult, I'm enthralled by our relationship with stories, how we've used them to explain the unexplainable, how they've helped unite communities, how some have evolved over time, chopping and changing and trying on new clothes. I think of short stories as an in-between space, short, sharp snapshots into someone else's world. That's why I love them. There's something you can hold in your palm and peer at, like a snow globe. The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night is an exploration of story, characters who tell themselves tales to justify their actions, elements of old fairy tales twisted into something new. These are the stories of those on the outside, a camp for teenagers who have flowers sprouting from their bodies, a boy who is worried his sister has 2 souls, a world where magenta ghosts are floating across the sea. These are the tales of the stories that breed. They have been trapped inside books for ever so long, and are clamouring to get out into the big bad world. They look forward to playing with you. I hope you enjoy their company. Jen." Beautiful all round, cannot wait to just dive in and read it. Finally, I have my little Worldcon haul of books that I picked up whilst I was there. One of them I got in my bag of goodies, and that one is this. It is a collection of short stories called Giants at the End of the World, a showcase of Finnish weird, so it is weird fiction, all translated from Finnish. The editor is Joanna Sinisalo, who's quite a famous writer apparently, and then also Tony Jerriman, and it just says, "Worldcon 75 proudly presents a sparkling showcase of the works of top-notch Finnish speculative fiction writers, many of them internationally acclaimed and awarded. Take the ride of a lifetime with these strange, exciting, poetic, disturbing, deep and fun short stories in one novel excerpt, most of which are now available for the first time in English or are even having their world premiere. So that definitely sounds good to me. The first one I picked up is this one. It is called The Sands of Sara by Risto Isamaki. I saw this one on Rachel's channel, whose channel is Kalanadi. I will link it below. And she did a review of this, and it was a really good review and made me want to read it, but I'd actually already picked it up before I saw her review. I just saw that she'd posted, and I think Bree and Thomas and a couple other people who I was with also picked this up, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. I believe it's about a sort of climate change science fiction. I don't know an awful lot more about it than that, but it definitely sounds really cool to me, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. I do think the only thing that I remember Rachel saying in her review as a negative was that it could have done with a better edit, but seeing as it is a translated work, I'm not sure if that comes in the translation or if that comes in the original book. I couldn't tell you, but I'm definitely excited to read some sort of SF Finnish work that has been translated soon. Next up, I have a book which is by Joanna Sinisalo, who is the editor of that book I just showed you. This is The Core of the Sun, and I heard people compare this to Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale. I don't know how similar it is, but I believe it's about women who are kind of controlled in certain ways. It definitely sounds like my kind of book. I'm certainly looking forward to reading this one. I read the first few pages and they were not what I expected, but in a really good way. So I'm hopeful that I'll really like this, and I'll certainly report back on this when I do read it as well. And then finally, I have two books that I picked up at the Chinese stand in Worldcon. Both of these have been translated from Chinese. The first of them is this one, this tiny little blue book, which is called The Kisaki by Zhu Ziyi and Teartide by Wu Fujiang, or Fugang, and it's published by Duban Reed. I think it might just be two stories in this one that have been translated. The Kisaki says, in a near future, AI-powered aids study you, know you, and destroy you. Teartide says, dreams replace your life and the Kisaki replaces dreams. So I don't know how they connect to one another. It's not overly durable, it feels more like a notebook, so I think what they've done is just paid for a translation of a couple of editions so that they could bring them to Worldcon. It doesn't feel like an actual book to me, which leads me to believe they're quite limited edition ones. So I'm definitely excited to read this. I always love reading translations of SFF from different countries because I just think it's such an experience. So I really, really can't wait to read this, and I don't think it's particularly long. It's only about just under 200 pages, and they're really, really short pages because this is a super narrow book. So yeah, hopefully I can get to that really soon and read it and let you guys know what it is and how much I like it, because it's definitely different and I can't wait to try it. And then another Chinese translation one is a collection of Tang Fei's SF. I'm guessing that's the author. So Tang Fei is a speculative fiction writer whose fiction has been featured under various pen names in magazines in China such as Science Fiction World, Jizu Fantasy, and Fantasy Old and New. She has written fantasy, science fiction, fairy tales, and wuxia, which is martial arts fantasy, but prefers to write in a way that straddles or stretches genre boundaries. She is also a genre critic, and her critical essays have been published in the Economic Observer. She lives in Beijing, though she tries to escape it as often as she can, and considers herself a foodie with a particular appreciation for dark chocolate, chèvre, and single malt Scotch whisky. So I guess this is just a collection of her stories. I think there are 5 stories in here. So beautiful, again, lovely little book. Again, doesn't feel like a full book to me. It feels more like a sort of notebook quality, but I'm definitely excited to read this, and I will let you guys know what I think of the Chinese ones in particular and the Finnish ones, because I think it's just awesome to have translated works. So that is a pretty exciting haul, I think. There's a lot of really great translation stuff, a lot of stuff that is just not your normal SFF, and things that are all exciting releases. So I cannot wait to read lots of these. Definitely let me know in the comments which ones you are excited for me to read or which ones you are planning on buying yourself. Vlogging every day and editing every day was quite intense, but I love hauls and I love book reviews, so expect some book reviews very, very soon. I've got a few to catch up on, and I will see you all then. Bye guys!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.